This show was written in 1928 by Sophie Treadwell, who was a journalist at the time. So it's about 90 years old. It's a one-act told in 9 episodes, which show you like watershed moments in a young woman's life.
Each scene's played by a different young woman, and it is, for what we're doing, each scene's going to be a decade later. So we start off in the 20s and we end in the 2000s.
So it takes you through her work life, her home life with her mother, who she supports. The father is gone, there are no siblings. Then she ends up marrying her boss because he proposes to her, so she's left with a choice of, gee, should I marry this man who I'm not attracted to and not in love with, or should I lose my job?
In a scene, it's divided up into 9 different scenes, and every young woman kind of play a significant role in each, and all of the roles are very powerful because it's like the story leading up until she killed her husband. So it's just kind of like seeing how things were before she decided to go ahead and do that. Then she kind of ventures out of this pattern of her life into a social scene where she meets a young man, someone who's closer to her age, who's an adventurer, a romantic, and she begins to finally realize that love is something that could exist for her. So she has this affair with him, and just like any person who has been deprived of love, sunlight, freedom, which is what she's trying to achieve throughout the whole play, once she gets a taste of it, she can't go back to the way things were.
So she just had a baby, and she was married to her boss actually, and she didn't like her boss. But then she had to because she needed the money and everything. So she always wanted a baby with like little, and she says it a lot, like little curls all over his head and stuff. And then she gives birth, and then she's obviously going through postpartum depression. And then nobody seems to notice that.
So when she goes back to her husband, she's a different person, and she can't negotiate that life anymore, so she murders him. It's the only way she feels that she can be free. So after that, we see her in a law scene where she's standing trial for that murder. She is convicted.
It's like a murder, so like you can see how easily somebody could be bad just for murdering someone, but it shows you behind the scenes of like why she led up to it, because it's kind of like she's trapped in this place and she can't get freedom, and it's really sad, but I like it because it gives you a different point of view.
Like it was said earlier, I think it's good to see like her background and why she did what she did.
And the final episode is called A Machine, where she's imprisoned and sent to death by electric chair.
One of the things that I would like people to take away from this show is to try and always find the positivity in life and how to be a positive force in someone's life. Because you never know what they're going through. You never know what they've got going on at home or in their work life or just in general.
This is not just one woman's journey. It's all women's journey. It's everyone's journey who's ever been put in a position that they haven't had a choice, that they've had to make personal sacrifices whether they realized it or not. And I think that the biggest takeaway from this is that it could be anyone on stage at this point. It could be your mother, your sister, your brother, anyone could be in this position. And sometimes you may not know it.
He painted the famous Scream painting, but he also did Anxiety, which is the backdrop you see behind you. If you look that up, you see a bunch of people on their way to work. Their faces are green and sickish. Munch believed that the industrialization of our society was dehumanizing and soul-sucking, and that's why you see a lot of the images that you see in his work. And I really believe that it lends itself to this story. I discovered this story over 20 years ago, and I've always associated Munch's paintings with the story of the young woman.